Welcome back for another episode of Chrysalis Collective, the podcast. I'm Alexia Ramirez.
I'm Savannah Taylor.
And today we're going to be talking about animal omens.
I know. Animals and the messages they bring, the things that they show us, and how they show up in our life. And tell me what comes up for you.
I feel like I have a long list of ways that I've felt really guided and like had spirit's presence in my life through animals. I feel like the most obvious one to me has been like pets, you know? And I have Soul, which y'all have probably seen in a lot of episodes.
YouTube, and Instagram.
Soul's in like every single clip. She's here running around. But I really believe and know that my relationship with her is not ordinary. Like there's no way that I ended up with her the way that I did. Like even the story of how I got her was very much like she was destined for me. She was a puppy and I had gone to see her because my grandma's best friend had like her dog had dogs, and so she was trying to kind of get rid of them, and her daughter ended up taking Soul, and I was like, oh well, I only wanted like the little girl one because I just felt really connected to her. And then the daughter ended up not, being able to take care of her because she had little kids, and it was just like too much, a puppy on top of all of that, like that's just a lot. So they asked me like, do you want her? And I was like, of course I want her. And so I just feel like in my relationship with her and how attached we are to each other, like there's just a feeling of like, oh, you feel like my baby. Like I feel like I'm your mom, and like she feeds off of my energy in a way that's like, I really believe that animals and pets don't have souls in the same way that we do. Like it's a variation of source energy, so their little spirit and how they are is influenced heavily by their owners.
Absolutely, they're very connected to you.
Exactly.
I think of pets as just like it's a different form of consciousness. It's just like you said, it's a different type of source energy, but it's still the same. It's the same just as in plants, it's just a different type of creation, existing and expressing in the way that consciousness manifests physically through that.
And I feel like with Soul, she just senses my anxiety. If I'm super anxious, she's like that much more hyper vigilant of where I am or what I'm doing and like wanting to be next to me. And if I'm sad, all she does is comes up and like scratches on me, like pet me. Like I'll make you feel better if you just give me love.
Yeah,
like
she wants to take it into her and absorb it.
Exactly. And I just love her. She's just my little baby.
I love Soul too. She's great.
Yeah, and she really forms attachments with people that I also love and care for very deeply.
She knows me, and she knows my kids, and she gets excited when she comes to my house, and I take it as such a high compliment. I'm like, you're such a good like little being, and if you accept me, then that must mean like I can't be that bad.
Yeah, like as soon as I pull up, she's already like crying at the window, wanting to get out because she's like, I know that I sense a lot of love here. Like she's
welcome here. She loves. We love Soul too. But I feel like when we talk about animals and what they represent to us and like how they show up, do you have any like specific moments that you think back on and you're like, I saw an animal messenger, or I felt a presence from an animal, and then like later on something happened, or I feel like that animal was trying to reveal something? Like,
yeah, I think I've experienced that on like multiple occasions in my life, and the most recent time that I've really felt it was just when I was meditating on like the balcony of my apartment, and like really got into that zone and like saw the meditation like expand my awareness, and then all of a sudden like a hawk comes flying in and is across on the banister from where my balcony is, and I'm like, you literally have no reason to be here.
Mm-hmm.
Like, why are you in the middle of an apartment complex? You're
Mm-hmm.
a hawk. Like, you
Mm-hmm.
know there's
There's nothing
nothing
for you
here.
here.
Exactly. And so I, like, as soon as I shifted my meditation towards the hawk and was like, okay, like, what are you trying to tell me? I just got the message of like, your vision is clear, trust it. Your vision is clear, trust it. And that's like what hawks have been super symbolic of for me recently. Like, I've been seeing hawks.
I feel like we see a lot of birds.
Yeah.
Just in general. I
Yeah.
feel like we're always seeing birds when we're together.
Yeah, cardinals in your backyard, blue jays.
Lots of blue jays.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think it's just like confirmation of you're
showing up. Yeah.
You're showing up, yeah. And you're getting these messages for a reason. And I think that, you know, having a clarified vision and really feeling that and knowing that that's true is just like reaffirming. When I do see a hawk, I'm just like, yes, thank you, reminder, I'm not crazy, heading the right direction, like, thank you, you know.
So how did you shift your focus, like when you meditated? Like, how did you end up meditating towards the hawk? Like, what was that kind of connection like?
Whenever I meditate, it's like my vision. What I mean by like, Soul, come here. Now you want to show up. Come here, Soul.
Come here,
Come here, Tinky. This is Soul. My vision starts like, I see like a warping energy.
Yeah.
And so shifting that towards the hawk, it was like, that was now in that, and so I was able to extract and like absorb the message that much more clear, and it felt more of like a instant kind of knowing, like, you're trying to tell me something, okay, like, I hear you.
I feel like when I meditate, it's never like in places where I don't ever do open-eyed meditation. I usually like closed eyes, but when I meditate, I get a lot of like animal symbols. And I remember one specifically from like very early on when we started working together, where I was meditating and I was seeing like this wolf creature, and I was like, this is me, I am this like wolf. I was feeling like inside of myself, I was feeling very torn in between like this really high driven part of myself, and then I also saw and felt like a butterfly energy. And then I also felt, I was like, there's this really open part of myself that's trying to do all of these different things, but the wolf and the butterfly were not at odds. They were like dancing together and like becoming one with one another, and like feeling like, oh, these are both a part of me, and the wolf and the butterfly can love each other and can coexist, and like I don't have to choose, you know, I can still be all of me, and like feeling very connected to those animal forms.
Yeah, the different aspects of yourself, that they exist, and they both have so much power and hold their own different attributes and like characteristics that you get to pull from at any given time.
And that they can lift each other up. And because I mean, I do feel like we have spirit guides that take the form, you know, of animals, and that animals take on different meanings for us, and we need to be receptive and to listen. And that like part of what I believe is that like we are not separate in our consciousness from other, like you said, like versions of source energy, and animals are one of those things. And so like you can look at a lion, you can look at a tiger or a deer or a dolphin, and like you can be like, you are me, I am you, like what are we teaching one another here? How can I be like you in this moment and like live like a dolphin?
Exactly. I think going back to indigenous and like native ways of looking at animals and revering them as brothers or sisters, or really cousins, like kin to us. They are here to teach us and guide us and give us those messages and reassurance. It's just a matter of whether or not we give them that space and that respect. And I think giving universal consciousness, that space to come in and show us what we need to see at any given moment. And I feel like through animals, it's such a physical present, like it never ceases to amaze me how like, oh shit, like yeah, like I'm really connected in that way. Like I had a spider the other day come on to me while I was just like laying reading. I had been having a really hard day and like just a day full of like a lot of self-doubt and overthinking and just like I need to figure it out kind of energy. And I was just reading, relaxing. I was just like, I just need to get some fresh air, be outside, feel some sun on me, and had a spider come up onto me and start like weaving its web.
Ooh.
And it just like, I was like, what are you doing? Like, I just watched it for so long and was like also meditating towards it. And I saw its like little butt pumping and was like, oh, you're spinning your web on me. And it had brought one of its little babies with it. And I was just like, oh, okay. And constantly I had been kind of getting the message of like, I get the choice to create my reality.
Yeah, just like a spider web.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like I get to co-create.
Yep.
I get to choose what thoughts I have and where my focus is going to be. So why not choose something that's productive that I actually want to create instead of the overthinking and all of the I don't know, I have to figure it out.
It's not looking like I thought it would.
Exactly.
Yeah, spiders I think are particularly powerful for that. We saw like this huge spider web out in our backyard just a couple weeks ago, and just like a big spider, and we got up out of our chairs and was like, we have to like look at you. And we were looking at this spider and like making contact with it, and I was like, you're a thing, and I am a thing, and we're different types of things, but we're both here, we're both creating, and we're both doing. And it was a very like intense connection in the yard with the spider. Beautiful. So I get it, and I love to hear like the parallels between what you see. I feel like for me, one of the most powerful kind of animal encounters was, I've talked about it a couple times, like just the significance of butterflies. And I mean, everybody, I feel like, who doesn't like think butterflies are significant?
Exactly,
They're just because they're significant.
Beautiful.
They're beautiful, you know. But and obviously like we think they're really meaningful, right, in their life cycle and metamorphosis of it all. But I remember one day where there were 2 days. I guess it took 2 days to go from being told that I had a non-viable pregnancy to delivering. And the middle day in between, we just like walked down to there was like a little park down at the end of our street. And the kids were playing on the park, and we're trying to kind of like feel normal, as normal as we could. And I just was laying on my back on this bench and was looking up at the sky, and there were all these swallowtails that were just flying around the sky. And I just saw them, and I was like, I just felt the veil was so thin, and I was like, we are all existing everywhere all at once. And it felt just very, very comforting to me in that moment, to feel that connected to those little butterflies flying around the sky. And I feel like since then, butterflies have just been I loved them before that, but an even more meaningful part of my journey, and they're so symbolic to me now. And just I now just try to invite them into my space like all the time, and like literally be a friend to these butterflies for what they're doing out in the world. Like all they do is just spread beauty, you know?
Exactly. I think my relationship with butterflies feels a lot more ancestral in the way that monarcas like migrate to Michoacan, where my dad's family is from, and that's where my family is from. That's where I always go visit. And when I was a year old, my parents had taken me to the sanctuary, the monarch
Mm-hmm.
sanctuary there. And I hadn't gone back in like 18, 19 years. But for some reason, monarchs have always been my favorite animal. Butterflies have always been my favorite animal. It was like, I feel like an imprinting on me from
Yeah.
from like a little baby.
Well,
And so, like, getting to go back at 19 felt like such a full circle moment because I was like, oh, this is this is so much a part of me
yeah.
because it reminds me that I get to have this connection to two places. There's a migration back and forth from the United States to Mexico, and that's exactly what I do. I go back and forth all the time. My family is here and my family is there.
Yeah.
And so I like it's just such a reminder to me that these monarchs don't know where they're going. No single one makes it all the
Right.
way there or all the way back. Like
Yeah, they die. Yeah,
exactly.
they give birth and then they die. Yeah.
It's in their DNA.
It
Like
is.
it's so strong, that pull towards home, no matter
Mhm.
where it is.
Well, and home for the monarchs too, like the pool also taking place around like Dia de los Muertos and like very representative of the thinning of the veil and the transition from this form into spirit realm and the being guided by just all of the different forces of creation. It's so powerful. So
Yeah.
I see that and I love it.
Yeah, I love monarchs.
Oh,
like
yeah.
I literally have a tattoo. I had gone with one of my cousins when I was in Michoacan to go get it because I was like,
Has
the
to
first
be there.
exactly. My first tattoo I ever got was of bees, or of a bee. So I have a big bee right here. It's not like super big, but a bee here and then a monarch under it. And I got my first tattoo while I was in Zambia because bees, where I was stationed at for my service, was like known as the land of honey. Like that district in Zambia is known as the land of honey. So my plan, yeah, my plan was to have like do a beekeeping program for income generating stuff for my community. Obviously didn't end up happening, but I still felt very connected to bees in my time there because bees are really representative of community.
Bees are so cool.
Yeah.
I love,
and I feel like getting that tattoo there was like very symbolic because bees are also super representative of like my relationship with my dad because I had done apitherapy on him, so him and I like would really be present with the bees and thank them while I would be giving him apitherapy, and it was like something that my dad and I like got to experience together and like build a connection with bees together in that way. And we also took like a what's it called, beekeeping class together, which was super fun.
I love that. I did not know you were
I'm an avid beer. Yes.
That is that's pretty cool. They should put that on the dating app bio for sure.
I'm gonna add
it. No.
Ariana would get mad at me.
I'm joking. If you had to be on a dating app, that would go in the bio for sure. It reminds me of my grandma because we I don't remember when it started. I was probably like a teenager, but after like every time we would see each other, one of us would see a ladybug, and like we kept noticing, or like almost every time we were together, like there'd be a ladybug like on the seatbelt or like on our table where we were sitting, or like we'd go home and I would see a ladybug on my window or something like that. And so we just kept, now like every time we see a ladybug, like one of us kind of like sends a picture, reaches out to the other one, and so they keep us connected.
I love that. That's so cute. And that's like something that you're always gonna have, like
for sure.
That connection to ladybugs is always gonna make you think of your grandma.
Oh God, yeah. There's so many things that are always gonna make me think
sunflowers.
Oh yeah.
I know the sunflowers.
Grandmas, they're special.
They are.
But I do feel like our relationship and just like it's all about being willing and being open to source energy, and to say just like you're available to signs, you're available to messages when they come, and that you're here and you're present and connected to the moment, that you're gonna listen and be receptive, and so like if you're asking the universe a question and you see a vulture, like you said with the hawk, transfer your energy and say, I'm open. Okay, I'm here. I'm paying attention. I'm keyed into this. What are you here for? What are you trying to tell me? And that answer will come, and you'll feel it. You'll feel it in your gut. You'll feel it in your womb. You know, your body will respond to it.
Is there any other animals that you've felt you've gotten messages from recently?
Recently,
I personally am thinking about the moth for you. That
oh,
Luna
the
moth.
moth. Oh my gosh, the moth was a huge message for me because there was so much rain, and I think it was like, yeah, right after a storm, this beautiful Luna moth landed on our fence, and it stayed there all day long, and it didn't move. And so by the end of the day, I was like, you're sick, you're not well, you came here to die. Like, you came to me to die, and like, I'm gonna help you die, and you know, we'll get through this together. And so I actually brought the Luna moth in, and I like laid it on some plants that I had up in my house, and it died on the plants. But then this was actually kind of gross and freaky. That was the beautiful part of the story.
Yeah.
But I think what killed the Luna moth actually was like a parasite, because after it died, something popped out of it, and it was like so all like bubbly and nasty,
Gooey
and it flapped around, and it did like flap, and then it died for real, but it got like reanimated from something inside of it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was very weird little.
I'm like, what does that mean?
I
What
didn't
are
know
you
what
trying to
that
say
part
then?
meant. I didn't know what that part meant, but I was very grateful to the Luna moth to coming to me to die, because it was a really beautiful, like, gentle moment, and a moment, you know, for me to practice just loss, like acceptance of loss in life. And sometimes I get sad thinking about just like different relationships that are no longer a part of my life. And so I think in that moment, the Luna moth coming, I was feeling sad that day, and like she gave me a lot of, I don't know if it was a female, but
she felt like a she.
Yeah, for sure. You know, and it gave me just a lot of like something to feel comfort in the loss and in the passing. So yeah, there's always something, and even during the eclipse, there were a lot of animals, a lot of birds were very, very active during the eclipse. Driving to where we were going, there were so many vultures, for the week before and the week after. Kept, like you said, seeing cardinals, seeing blue jays, just so many different messages from the birds. And I feel like birds are very, they're big messengers, you know. They bring.
I'm thinking of hummingbirds. That's one of the birds that I've felt very connected to. Every time I see one, it's very symbolic of me, of resilience. Like, hummingbirds, they just keep going.
They keep going. They keep going. They don't stop.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think the times that I've been in need of a reminder that I'm incredibly resilient. Like, they come in at that exact time and remind me that is the case.
This isn't something I've interacted with, but I've been reading a lot about it and thinking a lot about like different animals and their connections to the moon, and just trying to kind of like model that and embody that. And so like sharks and wolves and elephants and just like different types of like pack animals having a behavior patterns based on the moon, and like feeling like, how do these creatures know, and like how does that significance? They're like, oh, now we feel this connection. Like, it's because they feel it. It's because it's intrinsic. It's because they don't have the type of consciousness that's able to really create like barriers to connection. But for some reason, like we got evolved to the ego. I wonder what the evolutionary
with animals.
Well, just like why did we evolve to develop such a strong ego, and animals really haven't.
Yeah,
Other
because
animals haven't.
even to think of our relationship with nature, like
Mm-hmm.
we've gotten so much value out of taming and putting barriers and
Mm-hmm.
containing nature, of like
Making
exercising
profits
our,
from need. Yeah,
yeah,
it's
exercising our will onto
right.
it.
Yeah, commanding.
Exactly.
Yeah, and animals are just as other animals are just a part of it. But I do feel like that kind of watching and listening and learning and just like being open and receptive to what are these other species doing, how are they, behaving, and like what can we
Mm-hmm.
learn from that.
Yeah, I think that's something that I want to pay more attention to as well.
Mm.
I think just thinking about like wolves being already very connected to like full moon energy.
Right. Yeah.
Do you feel like if you had to pick an animal, that would be one that you feel represents like the kind of energy or space that you're in now?
Ooh, now. Hmm. See, yeah, because I feel like it can't just be one,
Yeah.
animal. I feel like there's different animals that are like very representative of different parts of myself.
Mm-hmm.
There's like the mother, there's maternal, and then there's like sexual, and then there's like intellectual and business and like all different things. What about you? What are some of your like, yeah, your animal?
I feel like when it comes to tenacity and like power, the way that I operate when it comes to what I want out of life and like co-creating with life, I feel a lot of jaguar energy.
Ooh, that's cool.
Yeah,
I like that.
I feel super connected because it's also a big part of like ancestral energy for me as well. Like jaguars were very revered
Definitely.
in indigenous
Absolutely.
Mesoamerican culture, so
Absolutely.
it's something that I'm like, yeah.
Jaguars are smart too.
They're smart
really
as hell.
smart animals. I feel like for me, listening to you describe that, like there's an animal that's living and embodying the way that I would want to live and embody, would be like just an elephant, like the strength and the community and the rituals, and just like the wisdom. I feel like I want to be like an elephant who is like has just seen everything, like an old elephant.
That memory.
Yeah, the memory.
I love that. Elephants are super symbolic for me of my grandma. That's always been like her animal.
Yeah.
And so I always have this little elephant charm necklace because I feel like it's also a symbol of good luck. Apparently, like the trunk's up.
The trunk.
Yeah.
Yep.
The trunk up is a symbol of good luck.
Yeah.
Like, I can take all the good luck.
Yeah.
I'll take it.
Always.
Give it to me.
Who doesn't need more good luck?
Exactly. Good luck, chance, whatever you want to call it.
Send it.
Send it
here. Send it here.
Give it to me.
Well, Soul, we are so blessed to have you in our lives.
We are.
I appreciate animals like Soul because I definitely grew up with a really fractured relationship to pets. Like I've always struggled with bonding to animals, like house pets, just based off of the way that I was raised around them. And so one of the things that I'm actively working on, like to better myself, is like be softer, be gentler, be more open to the pets, like having a love and respect and reverence for wild creatures, but struggling with the domestic ones. And so Soul is really healthy for me because she helps me she just helps me open up a little bit.
Because I feel like with cats, your cat is super cuddly though.
She
Lola is such a
not
cuddle
when
bug.
Soul is here though.
I know. She always disappears when Soul comes
That's
over.
okay.
Yeah. But I feel like she's super cuddly, so I'm sure she's definitely like
Yeah.
put you in that position of
Lola's
being like,
great.
love me.
And having kids helps so much because like I grew up just having so many like negative things about animals like being said and done around me, and like I don't want my kids to feel that, like and so I'm like, oh no, I would never repeat those same patterns, so try to be as soft and forgiving with more forgiving with animals.
That's also something that I have noticed in my relationship with Soul, how, because she is an extension of me and I see her that way, how I'm treating her is really reflective of how I'm tending to myself
Ooh,
and how I'm
yeah.
treating
The
myself.
patience you have.
Exactly, because
Just, yeah.
it's easy for me to be like, oh, you're being so annoying, like, whatever. And she's really the sweetest low maintenance dog ever, but like sometimes she cries and
Yeah.
whatever, and it's like how short of a fuse I may have with her at any
By
given
the end of the
time.
day, it's you. Yeah, like
Yeah.
I swear to God, when the other day I got home from an overnight shift and I
Mm-hmm.
like finally got into bed, my 2-year-old was like asleep in the bed, but then my cat just starts throwing herself on the door to get out of the room, and I'm like, oh, no, I couldn't do it. I had nothing left. So it just, yeah, it depends on where you are. Like,
And I'm thinking about my mom's dog too. I was taking care of her, and it's
yeah.
like, oh, I'm dealing, like, I'm having to give you so much grace and compassion right now, and that's a practice that I have to also do with my mom. And it's like, of course, it's my mom's dog,
That's
like,
funny.
and that's
very
the energy that I'm having to work through with little Conchita. She's crazy, but I love her.
Yeah.
I love all the pets.
Yes, animals are our friend, and we see them and acknowledge their
Divinity.
Yeah, absolutely, and part of the cycles of life and death and rebirth and connection that we are all intrinsically linked to. So yeah, we just encourage you to stay open and practice mindfulness when when you are seeing and engaging with these creatures, because they might have something to tell you, and they might have something that you can learn from. So until next time, I'm Savannah Taylor.
I'm Alexis Ramirez.
We are Chrysalis Collective. You can follow us on Instagram at _Chrysalis_collective. You can find us online at chrysaliscollective.me. That's .me. And if you're interested in getting on the podcast, you can email us at info@chrysaliscollective.me. We have lots of events coming up, so be sure to follow us and check out our website. If you like this podcast, please give us 5 stars, send us a rating, a review. It would mean the world to us.
Until next time.
Later.